B, Wendy B. In today's video, we are going to be reading The Shack. It's a pretty suspenseful, but really good story. I don't know if you've seen the movie or not, but the book is supposed to be better than the movie. I haven't read it yet myself, so it'll be new for all of us. I hope you'll stick around and see what it's like as well. It'll probably be a series of a chapter for each video I do. Or maybe a couple chapters. Depends if I can put it down or not. T H E S H A C K. The Shack. The Shack. Written by William Young. I love the sounds of books, especially hardcover books that have that crinkly wrapping over them, like you find in the library sometimes. Those give you the best tingles. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the book. Can't forget the glasses. Okay. Are you sure you can handle the suspense? The Shack, a novel by William P. Young. There we go. March unleashed a torrent of rainfall after an abnormally dry winter. A cold front out of Canada then descended and was held in place by a swirling wind that roared down the gorge from eastern Oregon. Although spring was surely just around the corner, the god of winter was not about to relinquish its hard-won dominion without a tussle. There was a blanket of new snow in the Cascades, and rain was now freezing on impact with the frigid ground outside the house. Enough reason for Mac to snuggle up with a book and a hot cider and wrap up in the warmth of a crackling fire. But instead, he spent the better part of the morning telecommuting into his downtown desktop, sitting comfortably in his home office wearing pajama sales calls, mostly to the East Coast. He paused frequently, listening to the sound of crystalline rain tinkling off his window and watching the slow but steady accumulation of frozen ice thickening on everything outside. He was becoming inexorably trapped as an ice prisoner in his own home, much to his delight. There is something joyful about storms that interrupt routine. Snow or freezing rain suddenly releases you from expectations, performance demands, and the tyranny of appointments and schedules. And unlike illness, it is largely a corporate rather than individual experience. One can almost hear a unified sigh rise from the nearby city and surrounding countryside, where nature has intervened to give respite to the weary humans slogging it out with her purview. All those affected this way are united by a mutual excuse, and the heart is suddenly and unexpectedly a little giddy. There will be no apologies needed for not showing up to some commitment or another. Everyone understands and shares in the singular justification, and the sudden alleviation of the pressure to produce makes the heart merry. Of course, it is also true that storms interrupt business, and while a few companies make a bit extra, some companies lose money, meaning there are those who find no joy when everything shuts down temporarily. But they can't blame anyone for their loss of production, or for not being able to make it to the office, even if it's hardly more than a day or two. Somehow each person feels like the master of his own world, simply because those little droplets of water freeze as they hit the ground. Even commonplace activities become extraordinary. Routine choices become adventures and are often experienced with a sense of heightened clarity. Late in the afternoon, Mac bundled up and headed outdoors to struggle the hundreds or so yards down the long driveway to the mailbox. The ice had magically turned his simple everyday task into a foray against the elements. The raising of his first, in opposition to the brute power of nature, and in an act of defiance, laughing in its face. The fact that no one would notice or care mattered little to him, just the thought made him smile. The icy rain pellets stung his cheeks and hands as he carefully worked his way up and down the slight undulations of the driveway. He looked, he supposed, like a drunken sailor, gingerly heading toward the next watering hole. When you face the force of an ice storm, you don't expectedly walk boldly forward in a show of unbridled confidence. Bluster will get you battered. Mac had to get up off his knees twice before he was finally hugging the mailbox like some long-lost friend. He paused to take in the beauty of a world engulfed in crystal. Everything reflected light and contributed to the heightened brilliance of the late afternoon. The trees in the neighbor's field had all domed translucent mantles, and each now stood unique but unified in their presentation. It was a glorious world, and for a brief moment its blazing splendor almost lifted, even if only for a few seconds, the great sadness from Mac's shoulders. It took almost a minute to knock off the ice that had already sealed shut the door of the mailbox. The reward for his efforts was a single envelope with only his first name typewritten on the outside, no stamp, no postmark, and no return address. Curious, he tore the end off the envelope, which was a no easy task, with fingers beginning to stiffen from the cold. Turning his back to the breath-snatching wind, he finally coaxed the single small rectangle of unfolded paper out of its nest. The typewritten message simply said, "Mackenzie nausea rolled over him and then just as quickly mutated into anger. He purposely thought about the shack as little as possible, and even when he did, his thoughts were neither good nor kind. If this was someone's idea of a bad joke, they had truly outdone themselves, and to sign it Papa just made it all the more horrifying. Idiot, he grunted, thinking about Tony the mailman, an overly friendly Italian with a big heart but little tact. Why would he even deliver such a ridiculous envelope? It wasn't even stamped. Let's see. Mac angrily stuffed the envelope and note into his coat pocket and turned to start the slide back in the general direction of the house. Buffering gusts of wind, which had initially slowed him, now shortened the time it took to traverse the mini glacier that was thickening beneath his feet. He was doing just fine, thank you, until he reached that place in the driveway that sloped a little downward and to the left. Without any effort or intention, he began to build up speed, sliding on shoes with soles that had about as much traction as a duck landing on a frozen pond. Arms flailing wildly in hopes of somehow maintaining the potential for balance, Mac found himself careening directly toward the only tree of any substantial size bordering the driveway, the one whose lower limbs he had hacked off only a few short months before. Now it stood eager to embrace him, half naked and seemingly anxious for a little retribution. In a fraction of a thought, he chose the chicken's way out and tried to plop himself down by allowing his feet to slip out from under him, which is what they had naturally wanted to do anyways. Better to have a sore butt than pick slivers out of his face. But the adrenaline rush caused him to overcompensate, and in slow motion, Mac watched his feet rise up in front of him as if jerked up by some jungle trap. He hit hard back at the head first and skidded to a heap at the base of the shimmering tree, which seemed to stand over him with a smug look mixed with disgust and not a little disappointment. The world went momentarily black, or so it seemed. He laid there dazed, staring up into the sky, squinting as the icy precipitation rapidly cooled his flushed face. For a fleeting pause, everything felt oddly warm and peaceful, his ire momentarily knocked out by the impact. Now who's the idiot, he muttered to himself, hoping that no one had been watching. Cold was creeping quickly through his coat and sweater, and Mac knew the ice rain that was both melting and freezing beneath them would soon become a major discomfort. Groaning and feeling like a much older man, he rolled onto his hands and knees. It was then that he saw the bright red skid mark tracking his journey from point of impact to final destination. As if he birthed by the sudden awareness of his injury, a dull pounding began crawling up the back of his head. Instinctively, he reached for the source of the drum beat and brought his hand away bloody. With rough ice and sharp gravel gouging his hands and knees, Mac half crawled and half slid until he eventually made it to a level part of the driveway. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Let's see. With not a little effort, he was finally able to stand and gingerly inch his way toward the house, humbled by the powers of ice and gravity. Once inside, Mac methodically shed the layers of outerwear as best he could, his half-frozen fingers responding with about as much dexterity as oversized clubs at the ends of his arms. He decided to leave the drizzly, blood-stained mess right where he doffed it in the entryway, and retreated painfully to the bathroom to examine his wounds. There was no question that the icy driveway had won. The gash on the back of his head was oozing around a few small pebbles still embedded in his scalp. As he had feared, a significant lump had already formed, emerging like a humpbacked whale breaching the wild waves of his thinning hair. Mac found it a difficult chore to patch himself up by trying to see the back of his head, using a small handheld mirror that reflected a reverse image of the bathroom mirror. A short frustration later, he gave up, unable to get his hands to go in the right direction, and unsure which of the two mirrors was lying to him. By gingerly probing around the soggy gash, he succeeded in picking out the biggest pieces of debris until it hurt too much to continue. Grabbing some first aid ointment and plugging the wound as best he could, he then tied a washcloth to the back of his head with some gauze he found in a bathroom drawer. Glancing at himself in the mirror, he thought he looked a little like some rough sailor out of Moby Dick. It made him laugh, then wince. He would have to wait until Nan made it home before he would get any real medical attention. One of the many benefits of being married to a registered nurse. Anyway, he knew that the worse it looked, the more sympathy he would get. There is often some compensation in every trial, if one looked hard enough. He swallowed a couple over-the-counter pain pills to dull the throbbing and limped toward the front entry. Not for an instant had Mac forgotten about the note. Rummaging through the pile of wet and bloody clothing, he finally found it in his coat pocket, glanced at it, and then headed back into his office. He located the post office number and dialed it. As expected, Annie, the matronly postmaster and keeper of everyone's secrets, answered the phone. "Hi, is Tony in by any chance?" "Hey, Mac, is that you?" Recognized your voice. "Of course she did. Sorry, but Tony ain't back yet. In fact, I just talked to him on the radio, and he's only made it halfway up Wildcat. Not even to your place yet. Do you need me to have him call you, or would you just like to leave a message?" "Oh, hi, is that you, Annie?" He couldn't resist, even though her Midwestern accent left no doubt. "Sorry, I was busy for a second there. Didn't hear a word you said." She laughed. "Now, Mac, I know you heard every word. Don't you be going and trying to kid a kidder. I wasn't born yesterday, you know. What do you want me to tell him if he makes it back alive?" "Actually, you already answered my question." There was a pause at the other end. "Actually, I don't remember you asking a question. What's wrong with you, Mac? Still smoking too much dope, or do you just do that on Sunday mornings to make it through the church service?" At this, she started to laugh, as if caught off guard by the brilliance of her own sense of humor. Sorry. "Now, Annie, you know I don't smoke dope, never did, and don't ever want to." Of course, Annie knew no such thing, but Mac was taking no chances on how she might remember the conversation in a day or two. Wouldn't be the first time that her sense of humor morphed into a good story that soon became fact. He could see his name being added to the church prayer chain. "It's okay, I'll just catch Tony some other time, no big deal." "Okay then, just stay indoors where it's safe. Don't you know an old guy like you could have lost his sense of balance over the years? Wouldn't want to see you slip and hurt yourself, and your pride. Way things are shaping up, Tony might not make it up to your place at all. We can do snow, sleet, and darkness of night pretty well, but this frozen rain stuff, it's a challenge to be sure. Thanks, Annie. I'll try and remember your advice. Talk to you later. Bye now." His head was pounding more than ever, little trip hammers beating to the rhythm of his heart. That's odd, he thought. Who would dare put something like that in our mailbox? The painkillers had not yet fully kicked in, but were present enough to dull the edge of worry that he was starting to feel, and he was suddenly very tired. his head down on the desk. He thought he had just dropped off to sleep when the phone startled him awake. Hello? Hi, love. You sound like you've been asleep. It was Nan, sounding unusually cheery, even though he felt he could hear the underlying sadness that lurked just beneath the surface of every conversation. She loved his kind of weather as much as he usually did. He switched on the desk lamp and glanced at the clock, surprised that he had been out for a couple hours. Sorry, I guess I dozed off for a bit. Well, you sounded a little groggy. Is everything all right? Yup. Even though it was almost dark outside, Mac could see that the storm had not let up. It had even deposited a couple more inches of ice. Tree branches were hanging low, and he knew some would eventually break from the weight, especially if the wind kicked up. I had a little tussle with the driveway when I got the mail, but other than that, everything is fine. Where are you? I'm still at Arlene's, and I think me and the kids will spend the night here. It's always good for Kate to be around the family. Seems to restore a little balance. Arlene was Nan's sister who lived across the river in Washington. Anyway, it's really too slick to go out. Hopefully it'll break up by morning. I wish I had made it home before it got so bad. But oh well, she paused. How's it up at the house? Well, it's absolutely stunningly beautiful, and a whole lot safer to look at than walk in, trust me. I for sure don't want you to try and get up here in this mess. Nothing's moving. I don't even think Tony was able to bring us the mail. I thought you already got the mail, she queried. Nope, I didn't actually get the mail. I thought Tony had already come, and I went out to get it. There. He hesitated, looking down at the note that lay on the desk where he had placed it. Wasn't any mail yet. I called Annie, and she said Tony probably wouldn't be able to make it up the hill, and I'm not going out there again to see if he did. Anyway, he quickly changed the subject to avoid more questions. How is Kate doing over there? There was a pause, and then a long sigh. When Nan spoke, her voice was hushed to a whisper, and you could tell she was covering her mouth on the other end. Mac, I wish I knew. She is just like talking to a rock, and no matter what I do, I can't get through. When we're around family, she seems to come out of her shell some, but then she disappears again. I just don't know what to do. I've been praying and praying that Papa would help us find a way to reach her, but she paused again. It feels like he isn't listening. There it was. Papa was Nan's favorite name for God, and it expressed her delight in the intimate friendship she had with him. Honestly, I'm sure God knows what he's doing. It will all work out. The words brought him no comfort, but he hoped they might ease the worry he could hear in her voice. I know, she said. I wish he'd hurry up. Me too, was all Mac could think to say. Will you and the kids stay put and stay safe? Tell Arlene and Jimmy hi and thank them for me. Hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Okay, love, I should go and help the others. Everyone's busy looking for candles in case the power goes out. You should probably do the same. There's some above the sink in the basement, and there's leftover stuffed bread dough in the fridge that you can heat up. Are you sure you're okay? Yeah, my pride is hurt more than anything. We'll take it easy and hopefully we'll see you in the morning. All right, honey, be safe and call me if you need anything. Bye. It was kind of a dumb thing to say, he thought as he hung up the phone. Kind of a manly dumb thing, as if he could help if they needed anything. Max sat and stared at the note. It was confusing and painful trying to sort out the swirling cacophony of disturbing emotions and dark images clouding his mind. A million thoughts traveling a million miles an hour. Finally he gave up, folded the note, slid it into a small tin box he kept on the desk, and switched off the light. Mac managed to find something to heat clutched it to his chest. With the other hand, he pulled the blankets up under his chin and hunkered deep into the sofa. Soon the sounds of gentle snoring filled the air as the media tube turned its attention to a piece on a high school senior in Zimbabwe who had been beaten for speaking out against his government. But Mac had already left the room to wrestle with his dreams. Maybe tonight there would be no nightmares, only visions, perhaps of ice and trees and gravity. Chapter 2. The Gathering Dark. It says, nothing makes us so lonely as our secrets. 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 Sometime during the night, as an unexpected Chinook blew through the Willamette Valley, freeing the landscape from the storm's icy grip, except for those things that lay hidden in the deepest shadows. Within 24 hours, it was early summer warm. Max slept late in the morning, one of those dreamless sleeps that seems to pass in an instant. When he finally crawled off the sofa, he was somewhat chagrined to see that the ice volleys had fizzled out so quickly, but delighted to see Nan and the kids when they showed up less than an hour later. First came the anticipated and considerable scolding for not putting his bloodied mess in the laundry room, followed by an appropriate and satisfying amount of oohing and ahhing that accompanied her examination of his head wound. The attention pleased Mac immensely, and Nan soon had him cleaned up, patched up, and fed up. The note that never far from his mind was not mentioned. He still didn't know what to think of it, and he didn't want Nan included in it if it turned out to be some kind of cruel joke. Little distractions, like the ice storm, were a welcome although brief respite from the haunting presence of his constant companion. The great sadness, as he referred to it shortly after the summer that Missy vanished. The great sadness had draped itself around Mac's shoulders like some invisible but almost tangible heavy quilt. The weight of its presence dulled his eyes and stooped his shoulders. Even his efforts to shake it off were exhausting, as if his arms were sewn into its bleak folds of despair, and he had somehow become part of it. He ate, worked, loved, dreamed, and played in his garment of heaviness, weighed down as if he were wearing a leaden bathrobe, trudging daily through the murky despondency that sucked the color out of everything. At times he could feel the great sadness slowly tightening around his chest and heart like the crushing coils of a constrictor squeezing liquid from his eyes, until he thought there were no longer remained a reservoir. Other times he would dream that his feet were stuck in cloying mud, as he caught brief glimpses of Missy running down the wooden path ahead of him, her red cotton summer dress gilded with wildflowers flashing among the trees. She was completely oblivious in the dark shadows tracking her from behind. Although he frantically tried to scream warnings to her, no sound emerged, and he was always too late and too impotent to save her. He would bolt upright in bed, sweat dripping from his tortured body, while waves of nausea and guilt and regret rolled over him like some surreal tidal flood. The story of Missy's disappearance is unfortunately not unlike others told too often. It all happened during Labor Day weekend, the summer's last hooray before another year of school and autumn routines. Mac boldly decided to take the three younger children on a final camping trip to Wallowa Lake in northeastern Oregon. Nan was already booked at a continuing education class in Seattle, and the two older boys were back at college or counseling at a summer camp, but Mac was confident that place became a whirlwind of activity. They had done it Mac's way. They would have simply packed a moving van up to the house and shifted most of its contents for the long weekend. At one point, in all the confusion, Mac decided he needed a break and settled himself in his daddy's chair after shooing off Judas, the family cat. He was about to turn on the tube when Missy came running in, holding her little plexiglass box. "Can I take my insect collection camping with us?" asked Missy. "You want to take your bugs along?" grunted Mac, not paying her much mind. "Daddy, they're not bugs, they're insects. Look, I've got lots of them in here." Mac reluctantly turned his attention to his daughter, who, seeing him focus, started explaining the contents of her treasure box. "See, there are 2 grasshoppers, and see on that leaf, there is my caterpillar, and somewhere, there she is. Do you see my ladybug? And I have a fly in here somewhere too, and some ants." As she inventoried her collection, Mac tried his best to show attention, nodding along. So Missy finished. "Can I take them along?" "Sure you can, honey. Maybe we can let them loose into the wild when we're out there." "No, she can't," came a voice from the kitchen. "Missy, you need to keep your collection at home, honey. Trust me, they're safer here." Nan stuck her head around the corner and lovingly frowned at Mac as he shrugged his shoulders. "I tried, honey," he whispered to Missy. "Grr," growled Missy, but knowing the battle was lost, she picked up her box and left. By Thursday night, the van was overloaded and the pull-behind tent trailer hitched up, with lights and brakes tested. Early Friday, after one last lecture from Nan to her kids about safety, obedience, brushing teeth in the mornings, not picking up cats with white stripes down their backs, and all manner of other things, they headed out. Nan north up Interstate 205 to Washington, and Mac and the 3 amigos east on Interstate 84. The plan was to return the following Tuesday night, just before the first day of school. The Columbia River Gorge is worth the trip by itself, with breathtaking panoramas overseen by river-carved Missas standing sleepy guard in the late summer warmth. September and October can offer some of Oregon's best weather. Indian summer often sets in around Labor Day and hangs on until Halloween, when it quickly turns cold, wet, and nasty. This year was no exception. Traffic and weather cooperated wonderfully, and the crew hardly noticed the time in miles passing by. Okay. I'm going to stop right there. We're halfway through chapter 2 of The Shack, The Shack, The Shack, The Shack, The Shack, Shack, Shack. I hope you enjoyed it so far, and I hope you stick around for the next video as we continue reading The Shack. So far, I think it's pretty good. Makes you wonder what happened to the daughter, Missy. Anyways, I'm gonna sign off for now. I hope you're having a wonderful day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. And until then, take care of yourselves. truly hope that you'll